Is that okay pronunciation? You know that this painting got bought by Tate in 1966 after a lot of turmoil, because the painting was offered to us by Sonnabend, I believe, for £5,946, but we bargained it down to 4,960, and then even then the public in London and the trustees of Tate found it too expensive. So finally we got a great deal and we bought it for £3,946. Wow, that's it. At the same time, Richard Morford, who was the keeper of the collection, he prepared a beautiful exhibition in 1968 of Roy Lichtenstein. And these are the people who made it possible now to organize another exhibition of Roy Lichtenstein, very, very different from the one we had in 1968, which is normal, because Roy kept working until the very, very end. And this show shows you the highlights, bam, but also a couple of incredible surprises. And these surprises, of course, we have to thank in the first place to the curators of the exhibition, Sheena Wagstaff, who used to work here until a couple of months ago. She's now chair of modern and contemporary art at the Metropolitan Museum, and James Rondeau, who is chair of modern and contemporary art at the Art Institute of Chicago. Together they worked for 5 years on this exhibition, and it's only thanks to Jack Coward, who is the executive director of the Lichtenstein Foundation, and of course Roy's partner, wife, widow, Dorothy Vogel, that this show was possible, because at least 35 works are coming from the Roy Lichtenstein, the estate and the family Lichtenstein. Thank you so much for making this possible. Did I say it correctly, Jack?
It is. Dorothy Lichtenstein and the family of Roy Lichtenstein are delighted with this progress of having good team with Chicago and Tate and National Gallery Washington. And they have really tried their utmost to see to the curatorial decisions. We left it entirely in their hands. We just told them everything we know, and then they told us a little bit more that we didn't know. So this has been a learning process all along, and we're delighted with the collaboration. So thank you very much.
Also, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, they left this to us alone to make something really special. John McIver, who is the head of international communications of Bank of America Merrill Lynch, thank you so much for your support, because Bank of America Merrill Lynch, you will hear that from John, is not just saying, here you have a chunk of money, do whatever you want. You make also research programs and scholarly gatherings possible, which is really fantastic. Thank you so much. John will say a few words about Bank of...
kind of Lichtenstein in a way. So here we are in the center of probably about 6 or 7 years maximum of time that he was spending on this kind of content. But he then had 3 additional decades of work that he worked on as a painter until he died in 1997. He was born in 1923, and Look Mickey, the first sort of identifiable carrier of his style, really wasn't shown until 1984, although it was conceived in 1961. So he was pushing 40 by the time he got to actually work out what his own style was, a situation that's actually quite at odds with what is happening nowadays when artists make it in their early 20s and mid-20s. But the fact that he came to his style relatively late means very little, apart from the fact that maybe he came, having worked as a painter, been trained as a painter, came to a moment of realization, not only that he wanted to continue, but also with in creating kind of an idiom that kept going throughout his life, even though he was dealing with different kinds of content. So when you come to the very end of the exhibition, and you see these 2 big series in which he was working, the nudes, very large nudes in the sort of 3 galleries before the end, and the Chinese landscapes. When you look at those, although the content is very different, what he was trying to achieve as a painter was very consistent with what he was trying to achieve here in these images. So that's one principal issue that we wanted to sort of explore and demonstrate, this show being the first retrospective since he died. And so therefore, although there was a retrospective in 1994 at the Guggenheim in New York, it didn't include the last great series, 3 great series of works that he was doing. So this is the first complete retrospective that you will have seen. James, you want to add anything?
No, please.
We should also add that we show a work which was commissioned by the LA County Museum in 1970, which is called Three Landscapes, which we're going to show in the tanks from March 9 until March 24,
Indeed.
which is his only film work he did, although he didn't consider him as a filmmaker, right?
I mean, Roy, one of the galleries in the exhibition is called Landscapes and Seascapes. And that is a moment, and in it there is the image, the painting that we use for the cover of the catalogue. That identifies another key issue for the show, which is the oscillation that he had between abstraction and figuration. What you see here are not facsimiles of images drawn from comic strip books. They are images that have been reworked, as you'll see in the little vitrine there, connected with Wham, where he is co-opting an image that doesn't have an original. It is already a copy of something else. Some of the black and white images in there come from newspapers. Those don't have original artwork, they are reproduced. So what he's doing is that he's saying, we are living in this media-saturated moment, and everything that we have around us has been mediated in some way. It is a copy of a copy of a copy. What he's doing is he's saying, I'm taking these images that we all think we know so well, and he is meshing it with the DNA of painting. He is continuing a tradition that becomes more and more obvious as you go through the exhibition of a painter who is dealing with the essential elements of painting: color,